All right, guys, welcome back to episode 4, I think, of the Twilight Forest playthrough. In this episode, we're going to be fighting the Phantom Knight and the Ur-Ghast. Obviously, you have to fight the Phantom Knight first and then fight the Ur-Ghast. This first part of the video is actually me being just completely lost on how to fight the Phantom Knight. And actually, there's a big chunk of this first part where I'm fighting just the normal mobs that's like spawn in this place, and they're all like these knights. There are some big ones. There's like a really small one that's kind of hard to hit, but in this first part, they're all invincible because I didn't come through the right way. All these places that these like bosses slash mini bosses spawn in supposed to be completely indestructible. So, like the other mazes and stuff, it's either really hard to break or completely unbreakable unless you have specific stuff. But this is the same case where it's supposed to be completely unbreakable, but I actually break in through a random wall of the, I guess, maze, I guess is what you would call it. But there is supposed to be a specific entry point that I'll show later on where you place a trophy head of whatever boss you beat before the Phantom Knight, and then it lets you in, and then you're able to break block, you're able to open chests, and you're able to actually kill the mobs in there. All right, now onto the part where I actually get things done, since now that I know more of what I'm supposed to do. Originally, I did read up on what I was supposed to do, and the reason why I have a trophy with me is because I had to actually place a trophy of a boss that I beat previously onto like this shrine thing so that it opens up the building and I can actually like kill and break blocks and loot chests and stuff. Which I knew before, I just didn't know where it was. I didn't realize that this thing was gonna be above ground that I was gonna have to place the trophy at. So that's why when the game let me break into the building, I just walked on in and I just didn't know what to do after. So I finally do it correctly, and I find the room after a while of wandering. And the mobs aren't as tough now that I can actually kill them. They actually do a bunch of damage, and I'm actually using a different set of armor and weapons. And I'm actually using the knight set because um, the sword said that it does extra damage on mobs that have armor, which the Phantom Knight and also the random mobs in the place have armor. So I just assumed that it would be better against them. So that's why I'm not wearing my diamond enchanted stuff at this moment. But I guess that doesn't matter because in a couple of seconds, he actually doesn't do that much damage to me in the beginning of this fight. But then randomly he hits me for like 4.5 hearts in like one hit. And I was so confused because I wasn't staring at my hearts. So then when I got hit a couple more times, I looked down and I only had like 1.5 heart. I was so confused since he was only doing like half a heart to like 1 heart of damage. Since the knight set is actually just as strong as diamond armor, but it's also resistant to these mobs. So I'm not sure how I took so much damage from him. But after I killed one of them, I got the achievement that I beat the boss, even though there was still the other ones left. And in my mind, I just assumed I didn't read into how actually to fight him, but I just assumed that since one of them would turn like into having a body and then the other ones were just pieces of armor, I thought you could only hit the one that had a body. That's why I was like chasing that one around and like ignoring the ones that were just armor. But apparently, it doesn't matter which one you attack. The one that has a body just has different attacks. You can kill any of them at whatever time. So, once I killed one, I just assumed the fight was over, but you have to actually kill all of them. And then you get the trophy and stuff, even though you get the achievement after just killing one. And now that I even think about it, all my weapons and armors had really good enchant for the diamond gear I had. So I feel like now that I've already fought the boss, I think if I just did it with my diamond enchanted set, it would have actually been a lot easier to fight the boss, and I probably would have took less damage and actually did more damage to the boss, even though the armor and sword had buffs against mobs that had armor on. But it's whatever. I ended up beating all of them and got the trophy, got all the weapons, and they have actually some pretty good gear. All right, and finally, the Ur-Ghast. The Ur-Ghast is gonna be the last boss before we get to like the final area. Kind of, it's kind of like the extreme hills biome, and then like everything is up really high. But yeah, the Ur-Ghast is actually pretty annoying because it's like the other bosses where like the Minotaur you had to go through the maze for the Ice Queen you had to climb up that tower. The Your Guess is the same thing. It kind of looks like the Lich Tower except it has these really cool looking blocks that when you right click them they disappear, they reappear later on, and they actually give you items to craft those blocks in the Ur-Ghast tower thing, but that's if you actually want those. We're not here for that. We're just here to kick some butt. So, while climbing this tower, you basically have to work your way all the way to the very top, and you have to do things like um, climbing a lot of stairs. You had to go through certain pathways. There was this fence area that I didn't know how to go through, and I don't think you were supposed to break blocks in there, but I kind of glitched my way through by breaking the blocks continuously until eventually I walked through. And then I used a lot of building blocks to just build my way up instead of doing parkour or figuring out the puzzle. Because there's one where you have to right click some blocks and then more blocks appear and then you're supposed to parkour yourself up. But instead of doing that, I just built up. There were other areas that had just like logs that you had to jump around. I actually did that legit because that part was pretty easy. Um, there was a lot of smaller gas that you had to fight. Those weren't that annoying because in this fight, actually, I have a bow that the Ice Queen actually dropped. And this bow is very convenient because if you shoot it in the direction of a mob, the arrow will automatically track them and go hit them. And I enchanted everything for this fight since I knew there was gonna be annoying mobs, and since the year gas is, a gas, I know that it's gonna be flying, and I'm gonna need a good bow because I'm not gonna be able to use my sword in this fight. I have to grab a couple of blocks from the building itself so I can actually build my way up to the Ur-Ghast. Since it's just right above me, I just thought if I just grab a couple of blocks, I can just get up. Now, finally, we're at the boss fight. And the Ur-Ghast, first of all, looks crazy. It actually looks insane. This is a really good design for a boss. Secondly, its moveset is kind of annoying. It has a typical gas fireball, but instead of just shooting one at a time, it shoots like seven, and it doesn't do that much damage to me since I think my boots actually have blast protection 4, and then it has its crying where it rains down tears, the giant tears that do not that much damage to me either since I have great armor. And then I think it spawns other smaller gas. And at this point, I think the only thing I was scared of was running out of arrows. But I think I had a lot of arrows on me, so I was perfectly fine. And I guess the worst case scenario was that I had to just sit there and try to deflect fireballs with the bag for like a long time. But I guess it didn't really matter that much since I ended up just killing it with my bow since I can't miss with it. Just in case you're wondering how I got super looted up between episodes, I actually went to the Nether, and my Nether portal actually spawns me right next to a Piglin Bastion, where I got, I think, enough Netherite for 2 Netherite ingots, which meant I could upgrade 2 things to Netherite from Diamond. And then right under that, it was actually like a great place to kind of strip mine, I guess, for Netherite. And the way I do it is actually I make a lot of beds. I use the bed technique, where since you can't sleep in the Nether, if you right click the bed, it actually blows up, and you can actually strip mine since netherite can't be blown up, you could just use the beds to blow up all the blocks around it and find netherite easier. So I did that for maybe an hour, I would say, so that I could get a full set of netherite. And then the enchanting part doesn't take long either because the actually the hollow hills have mob spawners in there. And I actually turned one of the medium hollow hills, there was a zombie spawner, and I turned it into an XP grinder. And I usually just set my character there AFK while I did other things so that zombies would spawn, and then I would just walk down there and get like a million experience. So most of this stuff didn't take very long. I honestly got very lucky, and a lot of the game made it really easy to get good material since, well, diamonds were super abundant in um, the Twilight Forest. So it's not like that was a big deal. And then I was kind of just given everything else. After the fight was over, I had another big question because the whole fight I could hear the music note sound, and it's even louder now since the gas fight is over. So I actually start heading towards what it was, and it leads me to a room full of gas actually, and then there's some stuff laying there, and I didn't realize to actually continue on with the story, you actually had to do something specific in this room, which I'll show now. But yeah, that's it for episode 4 of the Twilight Forest playthrough. That was the Phantom Knight and the Ur-Ghast, and that's it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye!